All right, welcome to the Lone Star Conference Media Day for the 2021-2022 fall season. I'm here with the head coach of the Angelo State men's basketball team, Coach Cinco Boone. Coach, first of all, great to have you on the show and appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today.
Connor, it's good to meet you for the first time and to visit with you about our team and our outlook for our season. So thanks for having us.
Of course, and I want to take it back a couple steps to look at last season. Last season, it's been a struggle, dealing with the pandemic, trying to overcome that, rescheduling games and everything like that. When you look back at last season, what are some of the lessons that you've taken away personally as a coach and what the team you think has taken away from that experience?
Well, number one, it's a great achievement just to survive it. It was, there's no doubt about it. It was the weirdest year, starting in recruiting to the testing to, the COVID testing at 7 a.m. 3 times a week, to practice, guys being in, guys being out. Then playing back-to-back days and games, and by far just the most unorthodox year that you just had to basically hang on and survive and do the best you could. And I'm really proud of what our team did last year to be able to start off the year basically 1-3 at Christmas time, which is an unusual position for us to be in, and to come back and to finish 5th and to make it into the conference tournament during a year that was very odd. We were happy with what we accomplished, and especially the 2 previous years to that, we had NCAA tournament berth teams, and so last year we didn't get to our goal, but to survive it, thankful and proud of what our group did.
Yeah, and as you move into this season, I know the last part of that answer you're giving that you talked about goals for this team, and what are some of the goals that you have and the expectations for this team heading into this season?
We always strive to put together a schedule and a roster that's going to put us in the NCAA tournament every year. I truly believe that if you get a good non-conference schedule of in-region games, and then you play obviously the gauntlet of the Lone Star Conference, then you're trying to set yourself up to, if you don't win the Lone Star Conference tournament and get the automatic bid, that you're vying for one of those 6 at-large berths to the NCAA tournament. And so every year that's a topic of conversation that we have with our team. We tell them that the first 2 games of the season, November 13th and 14th against Fort Lewis College and New Mexico Highlands in region games, those are just as important and when you're playing UT Permian Basin or Lubbock Christian in February, because they're games that mean a lot to get into the NCAA tournament.
And not only that, you mentioned earlier talking about the new recruits that you have coming to this campus and joining the team. A lot of additions as well as the returning players. But can you talk about some of the new additions that you've made to this roster? Because I think it's 8 that have joined this team.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know exactly how many. 8 probably sounds about right. With our new additions, some guys that we're excited about, and we kind of recruit all over. We'll get, levels, or high school kids, different levels, and then junior college players, and then 4-year transfers. But, I think when you look at Keelan Penny and you look at Tyrell Carroll that are coming from, really good Division II conferences and institutions, we're excited about those guys. When you look at Freddie De La Cruz coming from UT Arlington, if you reference Andreas Abarguin from our team in 1920, he came from UT Arlington and had a terrific season for us, and so we're kind of comparing Freddie to Andreas in that way. And then when you get Dante Moses coming from Radford University, who was a very productive player also in junior college, then you look at Tanny Bastian, who coming from Trinity Valley Junior College, who made the national tournament in last season, and then you look at Chris Boykhurst, who 6'9", incoming freshman, maybe one of the most talented potential players that we have that's going to have 4 years with us. We could go in depth on each one of those guys, but I just want to highlight those guys, and we're excited about them.
Yeah, and I guess the one thing that we actually just found out before we did this interview was the preseason rankings have just kind of moved back to basketball, and that you guys placed 7th, and obviously it's preseason rankings. You don't know how each team's going to look. It's just kind of the media having their opinion. So when you kind of found that out, what was just kind of your initial impressions of that?
I think with this season, with all the rule changes, when you have, the pandemic gave everybody an extra year of eligibility the transfer portal the way that it is, and players leaving the conference. I mean, it's hard to really predict a preseason poll. And so I think it's great for college basketball that we have preseason polls and there's excitement to know where you're going to finish and predict where it's at. But we all know we're vying for what's going to happen at the end and where we're going to land, not where we start. But I think 7th place is fair when you look at where we were last year. When you look at the returning teams, the returning players that are coming back, for example, Lubbock Christian, to have every starter returning off of their championship team last year, they're going to get picked first. There's no doubt, and they've earned that. And so then the other teams that went to the NCAA tournament that have good players returning, they're going to get highly picked. And so I think we're in a good spot where we got some, I guess you could say, some attention in the middle of the pack, but it gives our guys a goal to shoot for to try to prove people wrong.
And last question for you, Coach. Less than a month away from when you play your first game of the season, as you look towards that and some of the goals that you probably want your team to get to that point as you kind of practice and get things together, what's the feeling like when it's getting this close to the start of basketball season, and what it means to you as a coach, but also for these players when they're getting ready for another season after everything that this team's gone through last season, to be able to have another opportunity to have a clean slate this season?
Without a doubt, it's just excitement. You know, whenever you get a chance to look at maybe possibly, you know, the full stands being full, or, you know, I mean, the COVID restrictions hopefully not being in the way for us to have fans in the stands and to kind of resume hopefully back to as close to normal as what we were. As we watch the fall sports go, and as we basically beat up on ourselves day after day after day in a preseason, when you get closer to getting to play somebody else and to, you know, take all your hard work and dedication and go challenge it against somebody else, it's just excitement. There's really no other way to word it.
Well, Coach, we're looking forward to another season, and best of luck to you and your team this season. We're looking forward to see what happens.
I appreciate it, man.
Thank Coach, appreciate it. And that is going to conclude the Lone Star Conference Media Day with head coach Cinco Boone. So, Paul, obviously, thank you again for joining the show. One of the things I kind of want to talk about when we talked with Coach earlier about this, and was about, you know, dealing with the pandemic last season, and it was very difficult on everyone on the team. And as you look at, you know, not only yourself but as a team, what do you think you learned from that experience?
Just having to be like more disciplined, like waking up every day knowing that you gotta possibly get picked to, you know, get a COVID test or things of that nature. It's just like throw you off from your regular day-to-day, you know, things you go through every day. So yeah, that was probably the biggest challenge for me.
And then when you kind of look at going into this season, transitioning there, you have a lot of returning players coming back as well, as long as new additions to the team. Can kind of talk about some of the players that you're returning with and also some of the new additions that are coming onto the team.
Yeah, we got Kendrick Washington. He's been having a real good offseason for us. Another returner, Devon Thomas, he was a honorable mention for the all-conference team last year. He's a really good player for us last year. And Andre Nunley, he was a real good spark off the bench for us towards the end of the season last year. So we're looking forward to playing with them again this year.
And as you look at your team this year heading into the season, as I mentioned, the returning players as well as the new additions to the team, as you know, less than a month away from the first game of the season, just what are your feelings? I know Coach said he was very excited about the season and getting ready, but just how do you feel entering the season? What's the vibe? What's the just feeling heading into it?
I'm real excited about this season. You know, getting to play with my newer teammates. We got Dante Moses. We got Tanny. We got Frederling. They're coming off some injuries, so they getting right with the injuries, the ACL injuries and stuff like that. So they're gonna be moving in towards the end of the first part of the season. It's gonna take them a little minute to get back right, but we're looking forward to playing with them as well.
And when you think about all the work that a lot of players put in the off season, and most people that, like myself, even in media, we don't realize what the sacrifices that you guys have to make in order to be ready for that game one. And especially for yourself, when you look at what you've done in the off season, what are some goals that you had for yourself during this off season for you to improve and get better as you head into the season?
For me, probably my communication with my teammates, probably get that better. But yeah, as a point guard, I know I have to, have a voice on the team. So I'm just looking forward to, playing with those guys and improving in those areas of myself this year. So.
And you've been around here for some time too in St. Angelo, and one of the biggest things about being here as a community, the time you've been here, can you kind of talk about not only just how it's been for you on the court, but also off court, just enjoying life here at St. Angelo?
Yeah, ever since I got here, it's been a family vibe. That's probably the main reason why I chose to come to Angelo, because it was, ever since I came on campus, it was just constant love. I want to give a shout out to Alex and Kay DeCure. Ever since I got here, they had open arms with me ever since I've been here, and they come to every practice for us, so I really appreciate them.
Well, Paul, I think everyone's really excited about this season, and everyone's looking forward to seeing what's going to happen on the court, but we do appreciate your time for joining us, and thank you.
Appreciate you. Thank you for having me.
And that is going to wrap things up for Lone Star Conference Online Media Day here with Paul Williams.